Ireland's Classic Hits Radio presents A Parent's Guide to Social Media.
Fiona Jennings is with us today from the ISPCC, and we're going to be talking specifically about the agro-rhythms, which refers to the toxic content that kids, in particular boys, have pushed on them via the social media platforms. Are girls being exposed to this kind of content as well?
No, the research doesn't show that they are as exposed to it as much, but I suppose where we're seeing it being played out is in the engagements that we would have with children on Childline, and particularly females on Childline, where they might see a change in their male friends, or they might see a change in how their male friends are behaving towards them, which might be out of character. And, when they're talking to us about that, it would align with this type of, manosphere influencers, as they're sometimes referred to, or that type of content that's pushed via the agro rhythm. So that's where we would see then girls kind of talking to us about it and their concerns about it. And then also as well, do they feel that under pressure to behave in a particular way, etc. Because I suppose some of this content is very much about seeing women as inferior to men. There's issues then around equality that pop up again. So it's really important that, that we're talking to our young boys about it, but we're also talking to our young girls about it too.
So Fiona, what would you say are the red flags that parents can look out for?
Yeah, so I think the first thing always is, for parents to try to educate themselves, first of all, as well, in terms of what's kind of happening in the whole world of social media for children and young people today. And you might say, okay, that's an impossible task, it's huge. But if I could just direct everybody, to our Digital Ready Hub on ispcc.ie as a starting point, and that'll get you kick-started. But in terms of red flags, what we would always say is, to look for changes in your child or young person as well. Are they engaging in behaviours or activities that they wouldn't necessarily have engaged in before? Trying to find out their source of curiosity around those new behaviours and new activities. Also as well, are they kind of hanging out with a new peer group online or a new peer group maybe offline as well, and try to kind of understand what those relationships are like there as well. But also as well, it can be useful to see especially how our young males are, I suppose, kind of engaging with their young female friends as well. Is there something there that's changed also? And I guess to try and find a way to not so much call it out, but to probe a little bit as well, trying to figure out what's behind that change in behaviour as well.
So, surprisingly, the new online safety code doesn't actually cover algorithms or these recommendation systems.
The online safety code doesn't cover them, but they are covered in the Digital Services Act. So the Digital Services Act and the Digital Services Coordinator is another strand, if you want, or another pillar of our new media commission, Comisiún na Mad. So a lot of our online safety, including the new online safety code, will be under our Online Safety Commissioner, and the Digital Services Act and the regulating of these recommender systems will come under our Digital Services Act and our new Digital Services Coordinator. But I suppose it's really important that those two pillars, if you want, there'll be a lot of crossover, and it's really important that they work together, and that each is able to lead out on the relative legislative framework that it's working under as well. But there will be a lot of crossover, and, we're really, excited to see where this new online safety code is going to go, how it's going to change, all our social media experiences for the better as well.
And if you realise that your kids, or the young adults, as they say, the teenagers, have been exposed to this, is there any way of opting out to make sure it doesn't appear again on their phone, or is it just the agro rhythm is there and that's kind of it?
There are ways and means that anybody can control the feed that appears on their social media account. Is it always effective? Absolutely not. And that's why we need these types of codes and this type of regulation coming in, because sometimes reporting content or blocking content doesn't always stop it from showing up on our feeds. It can limit it or it can reduce it, but it doesn't always necessarily completely eliminate it. And the only reason being is that because there's just so much of it out there. And, we talked there about, even benign things that you look for or that you search for, like fitness or something like that, and that can still manage to serve you up this type of toxic content. So look, there's a huge amount that the platforms need to do regulating this type of content on their systems, absolutely ensuring that, and this is part of the Online Safety Code, it'll be part of the Digital Services Act as well, how they have to prevent this type of content, particularly appearing on children's accounts. So that's where your safety by design will come in. That's where your robust age verification will be coming in as well. And all these things, I suppose, are terms that we've talked about for a long time now. But now we're at the point where self-regulation is over. We have our Online Safety Code coming in. We have our Digital Services Act. So now social media platforms are at a juncture, I guess, where it'll be time for them to be regulated by the various competent authorities. And they will have to put systems in place in order to make sure this type of content doesn't appear, in particular in children's feeds.
Fiona Jennings there from the ISPCC talking all about agro-rhythms. I'm sure there's a lot of information on the ISPCC website as well if you do want to have a look there as well. Thank you so much, Fiona.
Thanks, Trina.
This is a parent's guide to social media. You can catch up on all the episodes, which are available as a podcast. Just search Ireland's Classic Hits Parent's Guide. This has been a Sound and Vision initiative, funded by Comisiún na Meán with the television licence fee.